Hello, my fine fellow fanatical elves. This is the Cleveland Oracle Speaks. I am the Oracle, the Village Elliot. I'm here to talk about the past, present, and future of the Cleveland Browns. It's my favorite team. I hope it's your favorite team also. I'm going to talk about the newest Cleveland Brown. That is Justin Hardee, who is a special teams ace, so much so that he was selected for the Pro Bowl as a special teams gunner, not as a return guy, but the guy that comes down and clobbers people on coverage. He made the Pro Bowl as a gunner. That's not easy to do. He is now a Cleveland Brown. He was a New York Jet. That's where he made a name for himself. And the buzz is that he's going to be a tremendous addition to the team because why? The NFL has instituted a new kickoff rule, and it behooves all teams to have special ability on kickoff coverage. Oh, well, um, I think we need to examine this in greater detail. I don't think people are understanding this problem in exactly the right way. But the basic point is true that the kickoff rule is changing and that there's going to have to be a reaction to it, both on the return game and on the coverage game. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about Mr. Justin Hardee as well. So, point is that they did sign Justin Hardee, and he is a very talented football player, and he's from Cleveland, Ohio. So, welcome home, Justin. He, as I mentioned, is a Pro Bowler, made it with the New York Jets. That's not easy to do, man. You know, the New York Jets are famous for their ineptitude and doing things the hard way. But really, on defense and special teams, they played pretty well. You have to admit that their problems were usually on offense, usually at the quarterback positions where they managed to screw things up the most. But they really did have good defense. They really did have good special teams. Justin Hardee came from a very top flight unit. But he is a Cleveland native and he grew up rooting for the Cleveland Browns. So there he is. Justin Hardee Sr. posts on X.com all out, trying to bring my city a Super Bowl. Okay, I love it. Thank you, Justin. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And he is the pride of Glenville High School, which many people know. It's on the east side. And they are a football power, usually. Um, and we're just glad to see you. A lot of my friends are from Glenville High. I know a lot of people, and uh, it's a school that has quite a bit of heritage. Let's put it that way. And we do not know how much the contract is for. We do not know how much is guaranteed. So it's difficult to say how much the rest of the NFL believes in Justin, whether he's really believed to be at the top of his game still or exactly what. Barry Shuck is a friend of mine who sums it up pretty well. The positive attributes: he grew up to Cleveland, went to Glenville High, ran a 4.36. And I think that was a pro day rather than the combine. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, he's a 7-year veteran and has a whole bunch of tackles and a whole bunch of NFL games played, and mainly a special teams guy for kickoff, punt, return teams. So there you have it. I wouldn't be shocked if the Browns come up with some rules for him on defense. We'll see what Mr. Schwartz has to say about that. He might find some uses for him in certain situations. Let's just see. But anyway, for the moment, let's say he's just a special teams player, but a very good one at that. Let's also talk, on this show, I like to talk about what people do off the field. And Justin Hardee has his own foundation. He was named the Week 3 NFLPA Community MVP in 2023. He made a surprise visit to 150 at-risk youth at the Boys and Girls Club of Newark, New Jersey. Now, Newark, New Jersey is a pretty rugged town. Let's face it. I don't mean to insult anybody that lives there, but there are some areas in Newark that are very difficult. Justin donated backpacks filled with classroom essentials spent a lot of time with students. And by the way, he did that out of his own pocket and his foundation's own pocket, I should say. It was supported by donations from people like you and me, as well as his own money. And he spoke about how hard work can take them a long way. Uh, the name of his foundation is called Hardee Cares Charities, and it's on the web. You can contribute if you want. Hardee Cares Charities focuses on youth education, sports, and sarcoidosis. Sorry, can't pronounce that very well. That's a disease that attacks the cells, usually in the lungs, and which was the cause of his mother's untimely death. So he gets it, and Justin is doing a lot for his community and also to help bring awareness to the disease that took his mom. And we can really appreciate his efforts in all of these things. It's for real. We'll take a break at this point for our commercial sponsors that support our show, as well as many others on the Fanatical Elves Network. Thank you to the Fantasy Sports Network and everybody that's contributed, as well as all the commercial sponsors that have contributed to these shows. Excuse me, it would be the Fans First Sports Network. I botched that. Sorry, guys. But anyway, we'll break for, depending on the platform, a few seconds to a few minutes, and then be right back starting now. And we are back. On the left is a slide from NFL Films on X.com. And there was a scene after the Browns played the Jets and clobbered them where former teammates, remember Joe Flacco played for the New York Jets before he came to the Browns. And he got together with Justin Hardee and was recorded on tape. Hardee says, "Bring my city a ship," meaning a championship. And Joe says, "I will." And, uh, you know, they exchanged, I think, a meaningful um, conversation on that point. Joe didn't realize until that moment that Justin was a native Clevelander until Justin told him that. But Justin wanted Flacco and the Browns to win the championship. I think that was for real. But let's take a little bit of a reality check. Um, it's not all optimism. There's some reality that we need to think about. He's coming off of a hamstring injury, which required surgery and caused him to miss most of 2023. That's pretty nasty stuff when you have to have surgery to repair a hamstring injury. That's ouch. He's 30 years old now. That's kind of a magic number for excuse me, football players. He basically has to prove himself all over again. It's not 100% sure that he'll even make the team. There's all these young rookies that are going to try to take his job away. Now, the presumption is that the new kickoff return rules are going to make him even more valuable and even more important. But is that really true? I don't know. Let's think about that. Let's really think about what's going on here. Now, the short of it is the buzz is that, oh well, they're using the XFL kickoff rule, but that's not really true. It's based on the XFL kickoff rule, but there's some significant changes. Now, what happens is that as you can see here, there's guys on the kickoff team that are lined up here, and the receiving team here. Guy that's going to receive the ball is back here, and the kicker is back here. The kickoff guy is back here. And so the kicker lines up at the 35-yard line, and the other 10 guys on his team is lining up at the 40. Well, that's not the 40. It's that's the 35, because that's the XFL, and we're talking about what the NFL is going to do. So we're lining up at the 40. The XFL was at the 35. The receiving team lines up 7 players with 1 foot on the 35-yard line. So that would be this line here, except move it up 5 more yards. And then 2 players get between the 35 and the 30. So in this zone over here, for those of you who have visual, depending on the platform that we're carrying it. And then the receiver and one other player, I guess, are allowed to freelance. That's how I understand the rule. So that's what's going on. So they don't have high-speed collisions where you get to have a 50-yard head start and then run into somebody. You're going to have a 5-yard head start and then run into somebody, except there are a few bodies that get to accelerate, try to turn the corner, and make a touchdown on the receiving team. So that's what you are looking at. I've got 3 comments about this. Number 1 is that this is not the XFL's rule that has been widely tested at the XFL level. It is not the same. The XFLs, we pointed out before, kicker lines up at the 30, and the teammates line up at the 35. The return team lines up at their 30. Now, the NFL has moved it up to a different yard line. They've moved it up 5 more yards. And then they're also keeping some of the players back. And there's only 7 players on the return team that line up on this new kind of modified line of scrimmage, if you will. And there's 2 players that are back a little bit further. And 2 others, one to receive and another, I guess that's sort of a freelance blocker that just line up in kind of wherever they want, as far as I understand it. So this is not the same as the XFL's rule. And in the XFL, you had 10 guys that were lined up on the line of scrimmage for both teams, and only the kicker and the returner are the only players that were allowed to move until the ball is fielded. That's not the case with the NFL's version. Of course, the NFL had to improve it. But the point is, okay, now there's a different rule, but nobody has ever tried the NFL's version. It's never been tried in a game, as far as I know. So how is it really going to work? Well, we'll find out. But it's never been used in the game, and so there's going to be all kind of people trying to figure out trick plays and figure out how to make it work and what's going to be the best way to use the 2 players that are behind the line of scrimmage and all that kind of stuff. So, okay. By the way, I couldn't count to 3 here. That's supposed to be 1, 2, 3 instead of 1, 1, 2. But okay, you know what I mean. The third comment is that this is very important for Justin Hardee. There's a certain kind of skill set that's required to be the gunner on special teams. And that means that you're lining up on the line of scrimmage when the ball's kicked, and you run down the field, 50 yards or whatever, and tackle some guy at high speed. Now, do those search and destroy skills of the gunner translate to excellence in the new format? Where you're kind of like a defensive back or a linebacker or something, and you're standing on a line of scrimmage. You're not moving until the guy catches the ball. I don't really see that those are the same skills at all. In fact, I don't even know what the skills are that are required to be good on the kickoff team. Do you want linebackers, or do you want cornerbacks, or do you want strong safeties? Who is it that you really want to have on the team in order to contain the guy that's running back the kickoff? I'm not real sure. I don't claim to be a genius at X's and O's, but I do say that I know enough to say that this is not the same skill set. The position is nowhere near the same. Standing still is not the same as running at high speed downfield and making a tackle on some guy. Those are not the same skills at all. I don't see why a gunner on the old style is going to be better than a conventional defender, say a cornerback or some other defensive back that plays on the periphery of the defense. I don't understand why they would be that similar. So this is not a slam on Justin Hardee or any other gunner, but I don't see that the gunner uh, skill set applies to this new kickoff. Now, it may still apply on the punt returns, assuming that they are going to use those uh, same punt rules that they've had in the past few years. But I don't know that the kickoff is going to be carried out uh, using those skills or not. So let me conclude with a completely wild thought, and this may not be realistic at all, but I will tell you this: that there is somebody that comes to mind as the world's greatest at figuring out the implications of new rule changes, and particularly on special teams. This guy would work with his former pupil, Bubba Ventrone, and might not do it because he's so famous and it might be considered a step down. But the intricacies of working on new plays and a new format on special teams might appeal to him as such an interesting problem that he might not be able to resist becoming a consultant in the preseason. I think we ought to give a phone call at least to Mr. Bill Belichick, our former head coach, and see, Bill, would you like to consult with us in the preseason? This is not going to impact your ability to become a head coach during the season. If somebody fires their coach, you could still do that job. But this is such an interesting problem that I think you might really like to work on this and kind of solve how to play both the kickoff and the return plays. This is just really a fascinating problem. Um, I think it's worth a shot, Andrew. Why don't you give Bill's agent a call and see whether he'd be interested in that? I think it's just a fascinating problem. I do not believe that the traditional skills of traditional special teams players are going to necessarily map to the new skills that are required to play with this new rule. It's so vastly different. I think you're going to look at a totally different kind of specialist. That's what I think. Maybe not what you want to hear if you're um, Justin Hardee or somebody else that makes a living on uh, kickoff returns or kickoff coverage, I should say. But I just don't really see that this is the same type of athlete at all. Now, it might be that some players have skills in both worlds, that somebody is a good gunner and he's also a good coverage guy for the new style of kickoff, but it's very possible that there are guys that are good at one and not the other, and that there may be some guys that will find a new lease on life because this new kickoff rule completely suits their particular skill set. We'll just have to see. I just think it's a fascinating problem, and it's going to be for sure a real challenge to Bubba Ventrone to figure out how to make new plays with this new formation. I don't really think the NFL knows what they're doing. I think they thought, oh, this will be cool if we mess around with the XFL's rule and come up with some new flexibility and stuff. But I don't know that they know how it's going to work. Um, I think there's loopholes that people are going to exploit. People are going to make big controversies, and people are going to score last second touchdowns in ways that others perceive as totally unfair. It's going to be a mess. Um, Bill Belichick is the guy that would completely love this. He would create all these loopholes in the rule and make a mess of things, beat the Steelers with it, beat the Ravens. He would love it. Oh my God. But that's the way I think it's going to go. I think nobody knows how the rule is going to work. Nobody knows the loopholes. Nobody knows how to defend against it. Belichick would be able to figure it out. If there's any way to convince him to just consult with us in the preseason and help draw up some plays and some trick plays and stuff like that. I think it would be awesome. I don't know if he'd do it or not, but it's worth a shot. Andrew, please give him a call, see if he'd be interested just for the preseason to drop some plays with his former pupil, Bubba Ventrone. What the heck? But in any case, we do have a guy that plays special teams in Justin Hardee. He's a great athlete. Welcome back, or welcome to Cleveland, I should say. He has never played with the Browns before, but he's been a member of Cleveland and knows all about Browns football. And he'll be a great addition to the team, I'm sure. Take care now, everybody. I'll talk to you again real soon. And in the meantime, go Browns.